this meeting is being recorded and streamed on YouTube. What?
Yes.
What?
YouTube.
So crazy. So crazy. So
Welcome,
we are
everyone.
on.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I totally made the wrong name on there. It should be episode 143, not 142. I wonder if I can edit that later. I don't know. We'll find out.
Probably.
Meh. But it'll be okay. We'll let some people get in there and watch. While we do that, I'll do some NDC housekeeping because that's, what I do. First, thanks to everybody who came out to the 4th of July cookout. It was awesome sauce.
Awesome.
I cooked a lot of hot dogs, like way more than normal. Like it was crazy. But the store was really busy. It was a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for coming out for that.
Ask me about my wiener. That's what I think
pretty
of
much.
when you say hot dogs.
I mean, that's pretty much what I was telling everybody, and no one understood. So the comics clearance cave is still going on in Elwood. So make sure you guys go check that out. The Secret Warehouse extended cut. So if you missed the boxes at the Secret Warehouse sale, you can totally hit that again, the 17th and 18th, which is next weekend. Also, the first Wednesday and Thursday of August, we have Ron Friends coming in for Heroes Union. He's going to be at Pittsburgh Mills from noon to 3 on Wednesday, and that'll be in Cranberry from 4 to 7. And then on Thursday, he will be at the Waterfront from 4 to 7. You can pre-order Heroes Union, which if you haven't read his Blue Baron book, this is a tie into that. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be awesome sauce.
Nice.
Then that first weekend of August, holy crap, yeah, August is the Butler anniversary sale. So go up there, check out some stuff, half off dollar books, 10% off a lot of other things. And then also, I know many of you are already start planning, but pretty much a month and a week from now is Free Comic Book Day. First time it's been in fall ever.
Yeah.
So we're checking that out. We're gonna see how it goes, but we got some free books for everybody to check out. And then don't forget 3 Rivers Comic Con Light October event in October. We will be right there for that too.
I was surprised for a Free Comic Book Day that they didn't keep to at least to the format of the first Saturday of the month. That kind of surprised me. Because it's the 14th, I think, right? I mean,
right.
Free Comic Book Day is Free Comic Book Day. It's just, that was always their thing, was first Saturday. So, I thought for sure they would have done it, but
my guess is there is some very big, either a big publisher drop or some kind of, like con, like some kind of major con might be that weekend.
And this is not going to be the same as what we had last summer. This is going to be back to the traditional format, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
All on the same day. So,
Yep.
That's going to be
It'll
fun.
Be way more funsies.
Are we doing any sales that day like we usually do, or not planned
Actually,
yet?
no. We got rid of doing sales on Free Comic Book Day a couple years ago because it was so close to the customer appreciation sale.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then with this, we'll probably push it back. We probably won't do any more until we have the Butler event the weekend before, and then we probably won't have anything else real crazy until local comic shop day, which is in November, I think. So it'll be a fun time. Super funsies.
Cool.
Speaking of super funsies, the new Magic set drops this week, and the pre-release of it drops this week, and you can already play it on
Arena.
Next weekend it actually kicks in this. Sorry, the 15th
17th?
is the first. 16th. 16th is the first day. It's a week from tomorrow is the first day of pre-release. But you can play it on Arena starting now. And I played like a couple sealed events today on it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It helped make some of the mechanics a little more understood, especially with the dungeon crawls. It actually was kind of fun. I thought it was fun. So hopefully you guys check it out. But it is a D&D based set in Magic instead of a Magic set based in D&D.
Yeah.
which they've done before. So
I will be very surprised if this isn't like their biggest set, because right now, like, it's so much buzz in the store between not just the Magic players, but like we have tons of D&D players that don't play Magic, and they're like, they're buying collector's boxes, you know. They want like those foils. So this is going to be a huge set for them.
This is going to be some really killer stuff for Commander too, just so everybody knows. Like, there's some really, really cool stuff. Also, I just want to let people know the Black Widow spoiler-free review will be at the very, very end of this. So you don't have to like be all like, oh crap, when do I hit stop? Like, I'll give you a lot of time. We're going to talk comics. We're going to talk some Marvel TV for a little bit, and then it will happen. And that's pretty much it. And Tim, the review I gave you is pretty much the review I'm going to give them. So if you still want to bounce out, you can, but it's really nothing terrible. Like, it's really spoiler free.
If it's similar to that, then I'll hang around. It's
very spoiler free. Very, very spoiler free.
Yeah,
because I want people to see it, because it's like the first time back. I
mean, this was last March. This was supposed to come out, and then they pushed it back to like June, and then it was back to November, and so this is now it's going to be like nothing but Marvel, because Loki's going to end. We got Black Widow tomorrow. Loki ends next week. 3 weeks later is the What If. And if I'll post a link in the video when we're done. But if you guys haven't seen the new trailer for What If, looks freaking awesome. Yeah,
that dropped today. That was nuts.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then. Yeah, then we get Shang-Chi in September. So like after What If, we get Shang-Chi. So it'll be crazy. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to go back to theaters and watch these things.
Was Thor, because I know Thor Love and Thunder finished filming, I think, but is that supposed to be this year, or is that a 2022?
No, that's Free Comic Book Day. That's next May.
Okay.
That's the Free Comic Book Day weekend movie is
okay.
Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah, because there's
Thunder.
I'm excited for that, because I think they said, are we supposed to get Beta Ray Bill in that,
right? We might get a cameo of him.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get like full-blown Beta Ray Bill, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
But that segue is great.
Yeah, speaking of Beta Ray Bill, we have a huge announcement. You are going to want to be here July 22nd, because we are having a huge guest come on. We have the man, the myth, the legend. That's what everybody says. Daniel Warren Johnson will be on our show to talk about all things comics. He did Wonder Woman Dead Earth. He did currently the Beta Ray Bill miniseries, Extremity. There's 2 volumes of Extremity, Murder Falcon. His big breakout indie one was Space Mullet, which was really cool. So he's got a unique style all his own, and I was blown away when he answered me and said yes, that he would do it. So we will have him on July 22nd. Do not miss that. That is going to be a fun time.
Maybe he's just really bored if he's hanging out with us.
I feel like they all have to be. Like Declan, when he came on, he's like, "Oh, I've got nothing better to do at midnight in Ireland." I don't know how to do an Irish accent.
I was going to say that was a very, very terrible.
I think I saw
a British accent. As a London,
I was going to say
you went for like the London accent instead of the British or the Scottish accent.
I thought I was going to just
or Irish accent. Sorry,
the magically delicious. Like I should have thrown that
there
in
you
at
go.
the end. Yeah. Damn it! I'm not an actor.
It's all right.
Yeah, so don't miss that. It's going to be awesome.
And we have somebody next week, don't we?
Yeah, next week is Chris. Let me pull that up real quick if I can tell you his name. It's escaping me. There's so many awesome people that want to be on our show. Chris Anderson, and he has a couple different projects. He's done some horror books, indie stuff, and he has a Kickstarter that's coming up. So we've got this awesome artist and writer, Chris Anderson, will be on next week. So
awesome.
Yep.
Super awesome. All right. let's talk about some comics. So,
man, there was good stuff.
Oh man, this week we only picked two because we have a lot of Loki and stuff to talk about too. So, and we were going later, so I didn't want to like eat up the whole time. So my first book is Sleigh Bells. So this book is one of the Bad Idea one shots. This is everything I want out of a Christmas book. So it is this dad and a kid go hunting so that the mom can basically like hide all of his gifts for Christmas, right? And prep stuff. And all day they don't see anything, right? And then at night, the dad's like, "Oh, look, there's one. Go ahead and shoot it." So he shoots it, and all of a sudden, like, you see like that deer and a bunch of other deer running toward them, and here they're pulling a sleigh with them, and he shot a reindeer, and there's like, "Quick, into the woods!" And like all the reindeer get plowed into the trees and killed, and Santa like is like then walking by himself like down a street to see what's like. He's like kind of asking for help. The family goes home. Santa gets picked over by a cop, and he's like, "Oh, blah blah blah, this guy who asked for this thing and has this kid." And he's like, "How do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Well," and he like reaches into his hat. He's like, "Get your hand out of the bag." And he like pistol whips Santa Claus. Like,
oh wow.
Santa pulls out a bat, and the bat's got his son's name on it, and he's like, "How do you have this? How do you have this?" Like, and Santa ends up like totally beating this cop to death, and then eventually finds the house of the guys who killed his reindeer, and then even more chaos ensues in the house, and it actually had kind of a cool twist ending. I'm not gonna spoil any more of it for everybody, but it was one of the most fun holiday books I've ever read. Like, if this, I really wish this would have come out in trade, like, or ends up getting collected somehow, even though Bad Idea said they were never going to do trades. This is probably the funniest thing I've read in a long time, and it picked my whole day up. It was
I can tell you too, because at least the artwork wise, it was David LaFuente.
Yeah.
And I was never a big fan of his because he came on after Bagley and Ultimate Spider-Man, and I didn't like his style. And then he did a Runaways run and was a little bit better. This is like him at his best. It has a slight anime-ish style to it, and it's really fun. And the colors are fantastic on this. So,
right. Oh yeah, the whole book was super, super good. It was just so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Your first book, bam.
Justice League United. I'm still sticking with this book with Bendis on this, although I was a little bummed that they changed the artist with David Marquez from 59 to 63. That ended kind of that first arc, which was kind of just a wrap up to get you caught up to speed of what this is, what the United is. The last arc was a battle on Naomi's homeworld, and it ended with the Justice League running and stealing this tech that Brutus used in issue 59 to come to Earth. They introduced a character named Zimbardo, who was Brutus's boss essentially, and also was in the fight. And he wants Earth as his home planet. So they basically want to steal Earth. This book begins with the United Planets having a hearing for Sinmar Utopica, which is this character right here. And he was introduced in Superman 25 by Brian Michael Bendis, only to find that the villain had gotten free. At this point, after they show that he had gotten free, the United Front is fighting him, and it cuts to Naomi is training. She was offered an official spot on the Justice League, and she is training at the Hall of Justice with Aquaman, which is a really cool scene. Black Adam is distracting Aquaman so he can get beat up by Naomi. Her parents show up to be kind of escorted around the Hall of Justice and show like, hey, this is where your daughter's going to be a superhero at. Not her birth parents, because they're obviously dead. This is her adopted parents. And they are, that's way back in Naomi. But they are so brought there and given the tour by the Wonder Twins, which was freaking awesome to see them. So she's training, and while she's training, on the video screen, Hawkman shows up and interrupts, and he's calling from Daxam, which is where this trial was taking place. And he's saying, hey, Sinmar, Utopia, has defeated his team, and he's heading to Earth to kill Superman because he hates him. Whatever the fallout was from Superman 25, which was getting close to 25 issues ago in Superman. So there's a little bit of other stuff that kind of goes on afterwards, but that's kind of the setup for this. And it continues to be a really fun book, even though like I was a little bummed out about the art. If you're a Green Arrow fan, there's a little side story in here with Green Arrow that was really fun. So it looks like he's got something kind of in the works while the Justice League is, doing their thing. So I would check this out. If you didn't jump on issue 59, you should be able to find them at the store. I would definitely check it out. It's been really fun so far. If you're not a fan of Bendis's writing and the way that he kind of like, how he talks like we talk, he's very like normal.
He's very conversation.
Yes,
he is
very
a lot of conversational.
Yeah. If you're not a fan of that, then don't pick it up, because you probably it's very similar. He is what he is. If you like him, then you're gonna like it. So, but yeah, it was a fun book.
Cool. All right, my next book, and I've been waiting a long time for this book.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe Revelation. So this is the prequel to the Netflix animated series, the one of the two. This is for the Kevin Smith series.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, this is probably the best art we've seen in a Masters of the Universe book ever.
No lie. No lie.
Although it definitely gave the Eternia War art a run for its money. It was very cool. If you're into the He-Man lore, this touches a lot of things. Some characters that I was not expecting to see in here at all. And it actually shows like how the Power Sword was created, which was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least for this lore. Which then also makes me wonder, because like this show is supposed to be a sequel to the original show, but before what happens in New Adventures of He-Man. Yeah. So it's just very interesting. But like He-Man kind of bounces through time and sees King Grayskull. He sees King Grayskull's son be training with the swords. And then we finally get to see Skeletor at the end, and you see that he was kind of behind like some stuff, and like that kind of twist was cool. Evelyn looks really good. Everybody looks really great. They look very much so like just updated versions from the 80s cartoon, which is what I want. They didn't change anything too much. Although I was having a discussion with someone about Tila and how she looked terrible in the 80s cartoon. How we always hated what she looked like. Yeah. And but then I was like, yeah, but she didn't look much better with the ponytail. This kind of like, I think the art makes it just flow better for her. But I really enjoyed the hell out of this book. Like if you're a He-Man fan, this will get you pumped for the Netflix show. It'll get you pumped to read more of this. I really thought it was
well, and it's Kevin Smith doing the show, and he co-wrote this book, and so what you're getting with Kevin Smith. You're getting a lot of passion and good story. And a lot of times I pull up a He-Man book because the cover looks freaking awesome, and then you open it up and you're just like, this was like a third grade competition who could draw the best He-Man book. This was not the case. This book was the artwork was great. So it kept in line with the story. And then that last page, go pick it up because that last page was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely thought it was cool to see the creation of the power sword, or at least in this mythos, because in the other mythos, there's the two swords that are halved down the. It's like split narrowwise, which is kind of interesting. So I have a couple friends who are huge Masters fans, and I can't wait to hear them talk about this. So, but and Dan Hanna needs you to put that on his list for him.
Okay. All right.
So, all right. Your second book. I almost read this book, but I was no, I'll let Tim do it. I'm like, there's a couple books this week that I was like, I really want to read this. I'm like, Tim might do that for the show.
You could have. I read He-Man
just
because I knew you were reading He-Man and it would be fun to talk about because I know how much you like He-Man.
I probably would have gotten around to reading this book specifically if I didn't spend all day playing Magic Online.
Yeah. Well, for anybody that's not caught up, and I don't know what rock you're living under right now, but the X-Men have their own planet. They terraformed Mars, and they have Mars as their planet. This starts out with the last part of the announcement for the gala was that they were going to put a team in New York to be just superheroes like they were before. So this isn't internal X-Men stuff going on, any of that stuff. This is, if you weren't jumping onto the X-Men books because you didn't like all of the Hickman-y stuff that was going on, you will like this a lot more because this is more classic X-Men. So it starts out there, kind of get feet in the. They have a new base. It's not the mansion. It's right in the heart of, I think, Manhattan. It is a giant treehouse. It is a giant treehouse, and it's amazing. And it's called the Treehouse. It has Krakoan gates that takes them to healing centers, to Magna Arbor if they need to do any resurrections. This starts with Cyclops meeting out with, as he's walking into the treehouse, with Ben Urich. And Ben Urich is talking about his fashion and mentions Jumbo, who is the guy that did all the fashion for the X-Men. But Ben Urich remembers that he died a long time ago. And he's kind of pressing Cyclops like, hey, that guy's dead. And he's like, not on paper. Like, I saw his body. He's dead. He's like, what's the deal with that? So I think he's starting to catch on that there's something going on with the X-Men, because at this point, only the people on Krakoa know that they can come back. The rest of the planet, that is not something that they announce to everybody, that mutants can come back to life. So that's interesting that he's kind of pressed him a little bit on that. This had a really cool intro with a character named Kelvin Heng, who graduated MIT at the age of 13, and he is a direct descendant of Nicholas Tesla. And he had come up with a great business when he was younger and made a good bit of money, and the business failed. And this is the treehouse right there. It's really cool looking. And the business failed, and his parents kind of like, we don't need you anymore. So he wants to do something special with his life as he gets older. And he's like, that's it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get humanity to Mars. I'm going to get us there. And the next panel, he looks at the TV and it's like, breaking, Krakoa has terraformed Mars. And he can't believe it. He has spent his whole life trying to get to Mars. And he even changed his body so he could live on Mars. So he could be the test subject of how to change humanity to live on Mars. So it's kind of like quietly introducing a new villain. That big octopus thing that you saw that kind of landed is like a mind flayer that crashed in New York, and it's sending out like these brain waves that's giving everybody like splitting headaches. So Polaris shields everybody in metal and
says, "Oh, hey, that's what this is." Okay.
Yeah. So she goes, "Hey, I have a great idea. What do you think about this?" And she whips up this makeshift from all this scrap in New York, this makeshift like Megazord, and they all have like a section that they can control, and they are fighting this gigantic monster with this. It cuts to a different planet, cuts to Game World, which I think Game World has been in a few things before. And Game World, they show these aliens that are betting on different fights throughout the galaxy. And one of them is this fight with this mind monster. So I'm sure there's going to be more that comes into play later with that they introduced this. Somebody on that Game World has sent that, monster down to Earth for financial gain. But it was a fantastic book. Check it out. A lot of cool intro stuff, but it's Pepe Larraz on the artwork. I think it's Jerry Dugan is doing the writing. Yeah, Pepe Larraz at his best. So it was fantastic. So.
Nice. I can't wait to read it tomorrow. Probably tomorrow night. So.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get into Loki, I really want to talk about MODOK. like you said you've only watched the first couple episodes of this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for those who haven't watched it, first off, it's totally not for kids. It kind of has a kid feel to it because it's very much so like the
robot chicken
vibe. Yeah. Think like one really long robot chicken skit like for each episode, because that's really what it is. It doesn't like cut and do different fun things, but there are some really funny moments, and then there's parts that drug. The first couple episodes were a little hard to get into because I didn't quite understand what was going on. But I fell in love with like the daughter Melissa ends up being awesome. The son Lou is great. There's an excellent episode where Arcade shows up with evil young MODOK, and they throw him into Murder World, and they have to kill each other to figure out who the robots are. And eventually there's two Lou's, and they just don't care, and they just keep them both. So
yeah, I like that he has one kid that's a MODOK and one that's just normal. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. And there is an episode where you actually see Patton Oswalt's face in the MODOK.
Oh, helmet. Really?
Yeah. It's really, really good.
He makes that whole thing.
Yeah. If you don't know, Patton Oswalt voices MODOK for it.
I think he was one of the writers on it too.
Yeah.
And he wrote the comic that's currently going on right now too.
The Head Games one?
Yeah. He wrote that.
So my favorite episode of this is this episode where MODOK decides he makes a portal, and he's just going to start throwing trash in it. And it actually goes to Asgard. So it starts out, they throw some trash in there, and it totally kills Balder the Brave. Like something just lands on him and kills him right there. So all of his armies just kind of like, what do I do? So eventually MODOK throws some stuff in there that's Lou's. Lou goes in there. He goes in there to try to find Lou. And so when he lands, he's knocked out. He wakes up and he's being like eaten by a goat. And he's like, oh no, I'm being eaten by a goat. And the goat like passes out. He's like, oh, it's one of those passing out goats. And then he hears this scream in the background, and you're like, what the hell was that? He's like, oh, that's Lou. I gotta go get him. So he like rolls himself down this hill and like lands right by this other goat. And he's like, you're not my son. And the goat just screams at him. like even thinking about how this goat screams, like just I'm like hilarious. Like I'm getting goosebumps, like, because it was so funny. And then there's a scene where like MODOK builds a tank because Lou ends up befriending all of the kobolds. So there's a war between all the kobolds and Balder's army. And MODOK builds a tank, and it's powered by the two goats. So like they're like, oh, he wants to talk about truce. So he rolls up the tank, and Lou's like talking to him, and he's like, oh, and I brought you these, and he does like the flower thing out of the wand, and it scares the screamy goat, and the he screams, and the other one passes out, so it sends the tank into like a spin, and MODOK gets thrown from it. Oh my god, it is like the funniest episode. Like, that felt to me the most Robot Chicken-y, but yet it actually had a real storyline to it. Like, I really, just watch that episode. Just figure out which episode it is that's in Asgard, and just watch that one. Just fast forward to that one, and you will be like, holy crap, that was hilarious. There's a great one with Wonder Man, where like his wife ends up, like, they kind of separate for a little bit, and she starts kind of dating Wonder Man. And there's another one where he's trying to go into this bar, this villain's bar, and they won't let him in because he's not upper class enough. And the one was, or the villains up top that are kind of making fun of him are Mr. Sinister, Madam Mask.
Wait, Mr. Sinister's in this?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's Mr. Sinister, awesome? Madam Mask, and the leader. And they're all just like sitting up on this balcony drinking, and they're just making fun of MODOK about how he's like a terrible villain. And they're like, you should just go, like, you can't get in here, you're not good enough. It's like, you can come in here if you steal Captain America's shield. So he goes to this bar with no name down the road and starts drinking with like all the like super low level dude. It's like Armadillo. It's Juggler.
The villains bar. The bar with no names. If anybody doesn't know, it's like the B and C list villains bar.
Oh, it's like C and D list. Yeah.
And like Boomerang hangs there.
Oh, Boomerang's at least a B list guy.
He's a
C. But okay, he's a C. But it was just really funny because they had the dude from the 70s rock band that could scream. Like that guy's in the bar, and they all team up to try to steal Captain America's shield, and they keep getting distracted, and it's just hilarious. And like I said, it's awesome. A really, that one to me really has the Robot Chicken vibe that I wanted from the show. But it was also like it kept moving the storyline, which was good. So I really
is there hopes for a second season? Have you heard anything? Because that was something that was in the work before like the Fox acquisition. And I know that kind of changed how Disney owns Hulu now. So
I don't know, but it was very funny, and I really hope they do a second season because it kind of left on a cliffhanger. But it was a really good. It was just really, really funny. So
one of our regulars, Brandon Bruder and John Doyle, it's like they can't stop talking about it. Like,
I talked to Brandon the other day about it. It was hilarious.
Like, when did this come out? It came out in like March. You know?
March,
no, April?
Maybe might have been April, like mid-April, maybe.
Yeah. So the fact that it's getting that much buzz still a few months later, hopefully it gets a second season.
I kind of did the same thing you did though. Like, I watched like the first couple episodes, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this. So I kind of waited, and then one day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna finish watching it because I think it had kind of potential, and I was like, I'll just finish it because I had nothing else to watch. And it ended up being like just freaking amazing. So
I get sidetracked. I watch like 10 things at once. I'll be like I'll put that on, and then I'll switch to a different show. I just started Witcher because I had never done anything with Witcher, and my brother's like, you should play the game. So
me either.
I watched like the recap of the first 2 games, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then I put on the first episode, and now I don't hate Henry Cavill, or however you say his last name, Cavill. After watching him in The Witcher, I'm like, okay, I like you again.
Yeah, I don't know. I've read some of the comics before, but I've never actually watched the show. I think I watched one episode, and I was like, it's a little too like Conan-y for me. But yeah. Oh, the Third Eye Blind episode, that was freaking hilarious. So
what's that? Because
that's like the third episode. They go in it might have been the second episode. They go back in time to like one of their first dates, and it's a Third Eye Blind episode, and that's the episode where like the evil young MODOK gets like the crystal stuck in his head and he comes back for them. So
that has to be the third episode because I don't remember that one.
It was very, very good. So
now I'm going to watch it for sure. If you'd have told me that like way sooner, if you'd have been like, "Hey Tim, Third Eye Blind,"
I thought you would have seen it. You said the third episode. I'm pretty sure that was it. So
yeah,
it was very good. So. All right, so now we're going to dive into Loki. So for those of you who are behind on that and want to bounce and not get any spoilers of that, we are going to talk a lot about the Easter eggs because there were a lot
of Easter eggs.
Holy crap, were there a lot of Easter eggs in this episode.
Yeah.
So now's your chance. You get a minute to go to the bathroom. You can just kind of do whatever. Actually, after that, all we have left is Black Widow after that. So it would be literally just stuff like that, but there's not like I do have a spoiler-free version of that, but if you want to watch Loki first and then pick it up.
I heard the spoiler-free version too. It's just more of a like this was cool and this is what I expected and this is what I got. It's nothing detailed. So
all right, cool. All right, so low key. So this episode picks up right where the stinger from the last episode left off. I'm glad they 100% confirmed that it was an alligator Loki and not a crocodile. Although I thought it was fun that people were trying to call it Crocky or Croaky.
I liked his explanation too. He's like, you know what? No, it's best if you don't question it.
He's just like, I'll take it. It's fine.
That's what I want to hear. Because it's like when I watch like Titans, and I'll just give you an example why. Beast Boy has to take his clothes off and then he changes to an animal. And then he changes back and he puts his clothes on. And I'm like, is it that far-fetched to make the show flow better that we could just say he changes his clothes and everything into the animal and then changes everything back with clothes on for the show to flow nicely? And that's why I like the alligator thing, because rather than go into it and be like, how's there an alligator Loki? It's like, there's an alligator Loki. Don't question it. Just enjoy it because it's awesome.
Well, I don't think that has ever existed in the comics, which
I don't think so either.
Which is probably driving all the speculator market guys like completely insane right now.
Oh yeah, like where's this first appearance of
how do I find
Loki?
It's got to be in a Pet Avengers book.
Yeah.
So,
but that gives me hope for Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
If they're doing Croc Loki, that gives me real big hope for Spider-Ham.
Right. So yeah, and then they kind of go to their little secret lair thing, and on their way there, as they show them going underground, who do you see but the main man himself, Throg, stuck in a jar.
Yep. Well, and before you see Throg, you see. Did I send you that picture?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. This was one of my favorite spoilers ever. Is the Thanos copter.
So amazing.
For the one time it ever appeared in a comic book, it was like a Marvel Tales something. It was the one time, and then it made it to the Spider-Man and Friends animated TV show.
Yeah, and it was the Spidey Stories, I think. I don't think it was like a Spidey Stories 39 or something that had the first.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
So you get that, and then you're like, oh man, that's so cool. And then it's like, don't stop looking because we're gonna pan down through the ground. Here's Mjolnir, and here's Throg trapped in a jar.
Yep. Yeah. I thought that was super cool. I thought it was cool that they were then in a bowling alley.
Yeah. It's like here's our main base of operations.
Right.
Only thing could have made it cooler if it was like a subway, like in Ninja Turtles 2.
Right.
If they just.
I was hoping that it was going to be like a Big Lebowski joke. Like like that'd have been awesome. But then you get to see the twist in this that I did not see coming was that Vote Loki was a different Loki.
Yeah.
Like
the whole time we're like, oh, that's just regular Tom Hiddleston Loki, and it's not.
Yep.
And that was fun.
That fight scene was really good too.
Yeah, it was. Because Kid Loki takes the alligator, and I just lost it. I think I had to pause it when we were watching this. He just takes the alligator and it bites off Vote Loki's hand, and he's like, ah! It's freaking awesome.
That was hilarious. I thought it was good that boastful Loki ended up just being stuck with Vote Loki.
Yeah.
It did not continue with everybody else. But we then see Sylvie end up coming to this plane of existence and being rescued by Mobius. So I am really, really convinced that place they're in is Battle World.
Yeah.
Like from Secret Wars. Just because of all the things that are there specifically, it really makes me think it's Battle World.
It makes it hard to trust because they're like, this is where time ends. And it's like, is she lying again? What's the girl's name that was the head of the TVA? Can't remember her name.
I can never remember her name.
Like Raven Kill, something like that.
Something like that.
And I thought it was cool in the last episode she had the patch on. I can't remember if we talked about this, and it said A23 on her patch, and her first appearance is Avengers 23.
Yeah.
And it's just like another cool thing that Marvel does that's like you could just watch these shows over and over again and like pick apart little things, and you're always going to find something new.
Right.
But yeah, that was she came in. What did she do? Oh, Sylvie, she kind of like, it looked like she killed herself because the TVA agents were about to get her, and they don't obviously know what's going on. So she's just like, boom, and like gets herself with the wand. And then she ends up in, Mobius's pizza delivery car.
I love the giant pizza on
Red
the top.
Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you,
it's just
Carl.
it's just like on a spring. It's like, yeah.
A lot of people saw the giant Yellow Jacket helmet.
Yep.
So, and then there's talks about him coming back into Multiverse of Madness. I actually thought that was kind of an Easter egg to, do you remember the original Old Man Logan story where Logan and Hawkeye are driving across country and they come to the skeleton of Giant Man, and he's got the Baxter building wrapped around him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I thought that was kind of like a nod to that in my head because it's huge. Like he becomes giant, not just tiny. So that was kind of cool. And then,
well, it'll be interesting too because when he died, if that is him, and it's the regular MCU version of him, when he kind of like shriveled up and like poof, like did he go there, or is this just another Yellow Jacket from another timeline? So
right. Well, I guess we'll find out in the next movie in like a year.
Yeah.
So, but
and we got close to some confirmation on one of the things you were talking about because you were talking about Franklin Richards a lot the last couple episodes, and we had the QEng sign on the Baxter building, which was who Tony Stark sold, or not the Baxter building, the Stark Tower, who Tony Stark sold it to, which is Nathaniel Richards, which is who I didn't know is Kang. I did not know that.
Really?
I don't know. I did not know that.
Well,
I asked Tim Hibbert about it. He didn't know it. He's like, oh, I had no clue. My buddy Carl was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm like, I knew him as Rama Tut. I knew him as Immortus, I knew him as Kang. I did not know that Nathaniel Richards from like Earth, like 1310 or something was.
I forgot he was Immortus. Oh man, this is gonna make the Marvels movie even more disturbing if they do that storyline.
Yeah.
Like that'll be real rough.
Yep.
I still think it might be the Beyonder though, because they keep saying that that area is beyond space and time, and they kept saying that it was beyond that. And they hinted at Secret Wars. This kind of looks like what Battle World could be. It makes a little bit of sense to do that. But I can see it being either or. So
I mean, it's gonna get weird regardless. Kevin Feige was like, this next phase is completely bonkers. Like, the stuff they're doing is not normal, like phase 1 and 2 stuff. This is really out of the box, weirdo stuff that they're going. I kept trying to pause when we had that cool moment where Sylvie and Loki, they kind of were like, hey, you're not gonna like stab me in the back, and he's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you sure you don't have a planet to rule? And he's like, I'm not that person anymore. And it was cool to see like that change, because Thor had tried to change him so many times, and there's a lot of times in those couple Thor movies where it looked like really close that maybe he broke through to Loki, but he always stabbed him in the back in the end. And so he finally changes. They're going to enchant that Alagith, and when they do, it parts ways and opens. And I paused it, and I'm trying to look in so I could see if I could see anything like recognizable. I couldn't, and I didn't want to watch any of the speculator videos, because after WandaVision, I just gave up on those people. I don't think they really know what they're talking about. So,
well, sometimes they are just reaching for straws like the rest of us. Like we're doing the same thing right now. So
we are, but I didn't title our video like, hey, this, and this, click on it. I'm like, you know what? We got for me.
We don't need clickbait. We are clickbait.
We are clickbait.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that he just rebuilt Asgard. Like old Loki was just doing that. I also thought it was really cool that he explained how he survived the Thanos death in Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Nope, that's not happened. Yeah. So now it implanted in that Loki so when he goes back from being a variant to regular part of the timeline, like how crazy is it that he just was like, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
This is coming. Just go for it.
Would you say that old man Loki's like, building the city and him having his moment, would you say that was like stole that episode? Like that was the awesome, cool moment of all the moments in that episode? Because I feel like it kind of was.
I definitely feel it was like top 3 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed watching Loki and Sylvie like talk and come closer and seeing the change in Loki, but just seeing that and
talk about self-love, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All those people that had the problem with the gender fluidity are going to have a real big problem with this show.
Oh yeah. He vote Loki. It's too political. I don't want to watch it. He had vote Loki on. I'm done. Politics.
Right.
That's what people will say.
Right. I mean, if they read that storyline, they know it's not about that at all.
Yeah.
But I thought it was. I thought this episode was great. I'm really, really curious to see how it's going to wrap up next week. Everyone will have to weigh in on that during the show next week when we open it up, and they can get on the chat. And
I want to say they said it was like an hour and 5 minutes. Was the runtime like 65 minutes on it or something close to that, 62. So it'll be the longest running one of the season for sure. So I get irritated when my Disney Plus is like skip intro.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to skip. That's like, why would I want to skip like the X-Men cartoon intro? Like, I don't want to skip the Marvel intro. Their intros are awesome. Like with the, showing all the panels. Get out of here, Disney Plus.
Right.
Yeah, right. Dan remembers. So.
All right.
And we're talking about a second season. Just a reminder.
Yeah.
They said that it looks like there's going to be a second season for this show. So pretty excited about that too.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps most of that stuff up. So now I'm going to do my spoiler-free Black Widow.
If you don't want to hear,
if
now's your
you
chance.
want to, so I will say I bought a ticket. This is the first time I actually had to buy a ticket for a Marvel movie in a long time. Because
we usually
most of the time I got screeners, right?
Yeah.
So this was kind of cool. So I went to the Hollywood Theater. It's like 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes from my house. It's like 2 miles from my house in Dormont. They had a matinee at 5:00, so it was $6, $8 total. I got over there a little early, found a nice little pizza and sub place for you guys to check out right there on what is that? Whatever street that's on, Potomac, I think.
Okay.
It's like right there across from the church, just a little ways up from the doorstop, which I was totally like, oh, I wonder if they're still open. Nope, they closed at 3. So I will also preface with, I'm not a big fan of Black Widow, like as a character in any of the movies. But I thought this was, I didn't think it was the greatest. I didn't think it was the worst. I thought it was somewhere in the middle. It was pretty much everything I wanted it to be. Like the reasons I went to see that movie were very good.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there were a couple flaws, and if anyone wants to talk to me about it later, they can. So that's pretty much it. But when after you said the things get weird and they're not typical Marvel movies, I will slightly agree with that. And once you see it, we'll talk about why I think that. It's not huge. It's just
fun,
a feeling
different.
I have. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not much different, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully everybody had a good time tonight, watching, listening, doing whatever you're doing.
Don't forget,
it was it was really good to see a movie in a theater. I'll tell you that. There were like 20, 25 people in there. So that was kind of cool. And for 5:00 on a Thursday, I was actually expecting a bit more. But yeah, that was kind of it. It was good. So, watch it this weekend, guys. Let us know what you think. And you can talk to me about it because I've already seen it. So.
Yep. What was I putting a clip of? Oh, the trailer for What If. I'll add that into the YouTube. I'll post a clip for the What If. So don't forget, next week, Chris Anderson will be here to talk comics with us and his new projects. And the week after that, somehow, some way, Daniel Warren Johnson agreed to come talk to us 2 schlubs. So we will take it.
Exactly. We will always do that. So cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking it out, and we will talk to everybody next week if you don't see us in the stores. And have a great weekend.
Yep. Stay dry.
Bye-bye.